Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have enjoyed bipartisan support since the invasion. I hope that continues. I believe it will. Just sort of an observation. When all this is said and done, if Putin is still standing and is not held accountable for the barbaric invasion of Ukraine under his watch, then you're going to get more of this, not less. If Putin's given a pass, then everything we've talked about since the end of World War II to make sure that never happens again becomes all talk. This is a moment of testing for the international order, is an opportunity for us to reassert who we are and what we believe. In that regard, this committee can lend its voice. We can change our laws, and we can help the Ukrainians in many ways without putting American boots on the ground. So I want to compliment the Department of Justice for taking an aggressive approach to seizing Russian assets in the hands of oligarchs who support Putin and transferring that money to the Ukrainian people. We've been able to accomplish in a bipartisan manner a change in U.S. law. While we're not members of the International Criminal Court, we have made a change to allow U.S. intelligence to be shared with the ICC to help prosecute Russian war criminals in Ukraine. That does not in any way jeopardize our soldiers. It's a very narrow change to the law. And Prosecutor Khan of the ICC said he believes it would be a game changer in his ability to bring justice against Russian war criminals. The Department of Justice has been great. The Department of Defense has been terrible. I have called more than once to try to get an accounting of what's going on with the task force and the White House, and I get the same answer every time. The reservations of the Department of Defense are holding back the transfer of information that would be vital to allowing the ICC to be more aggressive in their prosecutions. If you get nothing else out of this hearing, I am tired of that, and I think there's a bipartisan support for the idea that the law we pass should be honored. I've been a military lawyer for most of my adult life. We have done nothing to jeopardize or put in motion jurisdiction of American troops by ICC, nothing at all. We have made a decision as a nation to help the ICC prosecute one of the most brutal invasions of the 21st century, may I say, in modern history. We also passed a law, Mr. Chairman, to allow a Kleptocrats task force to be created, seizing assets from Russian oligarchs, and along with Senator Whitehouse and everybody in the Senate, those proceeds can be transferred to Ukraine to help them stabilize their country. Over $500,000 has been seized as a result of Ms. Monaco and her team's work. A $90 million yacht called the Tango, another one $300 million called Amanda, $100 million in real estate assets, 2 condos in Beverly Hills, 3 luxury properties in New York and D.C., an apartment on Park Avenue in New York City, a $45 million Boeing 737 owned by a Russian energy company, 2 airplanes worth over $400 million owned by Russian oligarchs, $90 million Airbus. The list goes on and on and on. So I want to applaud you. Go after their assets, follow them to the ends of the earth, take their ill-gotten gain and give it to the long-suffering Ukrainian people. I'll wrap this up very quickly. The hope here is that we can give the Department of Justice and the Ukrainian prosecutor all the assets they need, reasonably need, to keep the front in the courtroom open. We have a front on the battlefield where Ukrainians are fighting and dying for their freedom. I think it is in Americans' interest to make sure that Putin, who is now has an arrest warrant issued by the ICC for his war crimes, that we do not forgive and forget as a nation, and we help the international community. With that, the State Department has been reluctant, dare say I refuse, to designate Russia a state sponsor of terrorism. What more do they have to do to become a terrorist state under U.S. law? Mr. Chairman, the Senate 100-0 urged the Department of State to designate Russia a state sponsor of terrorism under U.S. law. As the offensive begins this spring on the battlefield in Ukraine to evict the Russian invaders, I hope we can find momentum among ourselves here in Washington to label Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, because with that designation, they become even more radioactive. It's just a matter of time till China test us. I think China is very seriously considering providing lethal aid to Russia. And if they do, I would like them to run into the sanctions that would come from helping a state sponsor of terrorism. We have a chance to deter China by designating Russia a state sponsor of terrorism. I want to do that now, sooner rather than later, to avoid the mistakes of the pre-invasion where we sent the wrong signals to the Russians. I don't want to send the wrong signal to the Chinese. I want China to know, under U.S. law, Russia is a state sponsor of terrorism, and you help them at their own peril. Thank you.